I want to share my insight on the Florida real estate market as far as a pending crash in real estate in the state of Florida. First off, to introduce myself, my name is Troy Funk, and that's Funk, F-U-N-K, Fun-K, and I have been a resident and in real estate sales going on 4 decades here in Florida. And I've seen a lot of change to Florida, but not as much change as I've seen in the past year. We have had a year of just pure escalation where we've had up to 18 offers, properties selling $1 million over list price in some cases, and it's just been a crazy year here in Florida. Well, all that's changed, and it changed very quickly, and now a lot of people are concerned, what happens next? Are we going to see a real estate crash? There's going to be 2 issues that we have to be concerned with moving forward. One is, of course, the economics of real estate, and the other one that's not on the radar as much is the global issue, which is actually much bigger than the economics, because the global aspect is going to certainly have a lot more impact on real estate moving forward than even economics. So let's talk economics first, right? Well, when I think about real estate, potentially the worst market in the United States, worst market for the real estate market. Now, for me, that would be San Francisco, California. And why would I say that? Well, obviously there's some reasons why San Francisco in a troubled market right now. Obviously, there's issues with crime, homelessness is an epidemic, there's an issue with drugs, and as beautiful of a place as that is, we've seen a mass exodus of San Francisco, but not just San Francisco, California, leaving California. In fact, that state is actually shrinking in size, as crazy as that sounds. While Florida, we have about 1,000 people a day who come to our state, move to our state. So that kind of gives you some balance of California shrinking and Florida increasing. So what does that have to do with our market, the Florida real estate market? So how well is the San Francisco real estate market doing right now? Well, if we take a look at what Zillow says, and not that Zillow is the be-all in correct information, but they do provide a lot of data points, and which was interesting because when the market was going up, Zillow provides what they refer to as a zestimate. And their zestimate is what they think that value of the property is. And they purchase properties based on their zestimate and have been dead wrong. So not that the zestimate is a correct valuation, but overall it gives you a perspective of based on the last sales in the market, based on their analytics, what they think the house is worth. So, which is interesting because when property values were soaring, their zestimate was way too low. They would zestimate a property and you'd put it on the market, and when you have 18 buyers for one property and you have bidding wars, the market dictates what the value is worth, not Zillow, right? And that's exactly what was going on. We're having the same thing. The market's dictating the value, not Zillow, not all these other factors, because it's a supply and demand situation. So anyway, looking at the San Francisco real estate market, and we're looking at the estimates for homes, you can see that most of the homes that are for sale are priced considerably below what Zillow is estimating the value to be worth. Now that's the opposite of where it was actually even 2 months ago, where a lot of properties were priced above their estimate and selling way above their estimate. So we're seeing values starting to fall quick in San Francisco. And which is really interesting is when you look at their graphics of what people paid for their property and what they're selling for now, a lot of people are selling their property less than what they paid for it in the last 5 years. That's crazy. So we're seeing this happen really quick, and when you look at the graphics, you can see the escalation going up and the escalation coming down. So San Francisco real estate is certainly in trouble. There is certainly a need for people trying to sell their property, and it's kind of a race to the bottom right now. So how does that affect Florida? Well, California has been our friend because we have had so many people from California move to Florida. So if the real estate market is in trouble in California, it's going to have an impact on Florida. That's where we've had our big buyers come from, California, right? So the California real estate market, San Francisco and the Bay Area is in trouble, and we're starting to see that. But that's not their biggest problem. They have another problem that's even bigger than that. As I said, that's the economics of real estate. That's where you're looking at, okay, this is our buyer pool. Our buyer pool is being slowed down. We're having interest rates go up. You know, that's the economic side of where real estate would start to go down, right? That's not their biggest problem. Not California's biggest problem right now. Our biggest problem coming up is the global issue. Now, what's the global issue? Well, climate warming, you know, not a hoax. I mean, this is really happening, right? Climate change is happening. We're seeing water supplies in California diminish, especially if you Google Lake Mead. Absolutely horrific stuff right now where the water is going. When I lived out there in California, and we lived in the Bay Area of San Francisco, we were in water shortage then. I mean, we're talking almost 50 years ago, right? And what's happened in that time? Now, when we lived there, it was so bad that they wouldn't allow new construction, and they were monitoring the water supply. Well, they haven't done a very good job, because you know, when I go back to California, I see the town that I grew up in has 3 times as many homes, and their water supply is even worse. So, okay, California is running out of water. The global issue right now is that they're seeing a lot of forest fires and fires in general. California is in trouble. And what does that mean? It means that we're going to start seeing a migration of California people leave California, not for economics, as they were for Florida, but because they're running out of water. They're having other issues. Well, what kind of impact does that have to Florida? Well, the global issues are not just California. They're going to be an issue for everybody in the United States and the world. Global warming is a serious problem, and I think it's going to be more of a problem for crashing real estate than economics, because we're going to start seeing a migration of people leaving based on weather changes, based on the fact that if they live somewhere that doesn't have water, and if they have an issue with fires and especially rising water where they're at, they're going to start relocating to other parts of the country. So what does that mean to Florida? Well, you know, we have the opposite problem with California. We have water here. In fact, we're going to have more than we want. Not in a good way, because with global warming, the tides are going to rise, and we're already starting to see problems in Florida, in certain parts of Florida. So there's certain parts of Florida that are going to be an issue with global warming. But I think what that's going to do is it's going to create more of a migration. We started seeing prices just absolutely soar. Well, COVID and the government just printing money like we could print as much money as we possibly can. There's been so much money in circulation, interest rates down, and now that they've doubled, we've gotten used to that lifestyle, and that's not feasible. It's not sustainable, right? So we're back to a place where we're trying to create some sustainability, and the world's just not coming together. People have moved all over after that situation. Well, that was just COVID. What happens when the economics of global warming come into effect? Now, that's not going to affect just California. It's going to affect California, Nevada, Arizona, and Texas, where a lot of people have relocated to. Are they going to come to Florida? Some will, some won't, because we're going to have our own issues with global warming. So those are issues that are going to create, you know, potential crashes in certain markets. Now, are all markets going to crash the same way? No, I don't think so. But anytime you have a situation where there's a supply imbalance, you have too many this and not enough that, there's going to be an imbalance. So what's happening right now is that we're having an imbalance of affordability. So I had spoken with one lender, and he had talked about in our area, in the Tampa region, that there were 400 cancellations of contracts as the interest rates spiked. These are people that were qualified to buy a house, that want to buy a home, and as the interest rates continue to spike, they say, I'm out. I can't afford it. You know, if they didn't lock in a rate, or they're pre-qualified and they haven't secured a house, they're out of the real estate market. Now, that doesn't mean they don't want to buy a home. It means that the affordability just went away. So what's going to have to take place? We have a movement of people that want to buy in Florida, but there's an affordability issue. So the only way to correct that imbalance is price. So we are going to see some adjustments. There's no doubt about it. But we have so many people coming to Florida. Are we going to see a crash? I don't think we're going to see a crash, not like 2006, because the whole situation is completely different than '06. In '06, it was a financial crash. Anybody that can qualify for, well, could not qualify for a mortgage pretty much got financing, and there was homes built with no buyer in mind, right? Well, that's not been the case for the past few years. I mean, most of our sales have been cash, and the finance buyers that have purchased property got in at really good interest rates. And you know, they may be thinking, hey, I bought a home in this market and I'm going to see the value of my home decline. You are, but you locked into a low interest rate. You're probably still better off that your house goes down in value if you're locked into that low interest rate, as opposed to buying low at a high interest rate. The market has gone through a lot of shifts, and our Florida market is really unique because we have a lot of people coming here where you have other states where people are leaving. Okay, so I'm saying yes, we have so many people coming to Florida that we're not going to see a crazy crash. I don't think so, because we have our supply of people coming in are still coming in, and yet there's going to be more of an exodus from the West to get out of the West because they need to. So what's that? What about foreclosures, right? Well, foreclosures, yes, foreclosures are an issue, and they are going to spike. They're already spiking right now, but that's a big mirage when it comes to foreclosures, because post-pandemic, for example, in our county, and I'll show you some data points. Right now, if you look at the clerk of court, we are having about a foreclosure a day hit our local county. That's really low. Now, pre-pandemic, it was probably 3 to 4 homes a day, and you know, that was kind of the norm, right? I mean, that's kind of where we are. So if foreclosures spike 300-400%, that just says that we're getting back to normal. Now, where were they back in '06? We were seeing 30 homes a day go in foreclosure. So if foreclosures spike 3,000%, that's kind of where we were in '06. That would indicate, yes, we are in a crash. I don't see that happening right now. Foreclosures are absolutely going to increase greatly, but they need to, just to normalize the situation. Now, this is really problematic if you own a house in Florida and you're in foreclosure, because there's been a big mirage right now. Basically, with the moratorium, sellers did not have to make a mortgage payment for the last couple years, and what happened is their mortgages got modified. So they're no longer in foreclosure. They have a modified mortgage, they can bring it up to speed. But what I'm seeing is a lot of these owners are not getting back in rhythm. They're still in trouble. And being that they're still in trouble, they're not being able to make their payments even after their loans are modified. So this is problematic. And the other issue is they've seen their houses go up in value so much, they also feel like, hey, we're okay because we have a lot of equity. Well, that equity is at risk right now, especially with the adjustments of Florida. We are seeing adjustments in Florida with supply and you know, with rates going up and buyers saying, I want your home, but I can't afford it now that the rates are up. So we're seeing prices fluctuate. So somebody that has equity in their house right now and they're banking on, I can wait this out, I don't think that's a good calculated risk. Just from the idea that if you wait too long, you may not have any equity. So ideally, if an owner's in foreclosure, probably address that situation sooner than later. So I do have a separate website to help sellers in distress that are facing foreclosure, and that's just me to help people that were in a situation I was in when I was facing foreclosure on my own homes, and how to get out of that whole situation. So absolutely, you know, look at that as a resource. But that also provides an opportunity for buyers, because we're going to start seeing more pre-foreclosures hit the market. These are homes that sellers need to sell, and they're going to be a lot more aggressive to do so. And it's going to help buyers that were in a situation where they had, you know, 10 minutes to think about it and they had to go over list price. Well, these are motivated sellers that need to sell, and the market softening will give buyers a little bit of a reprieve. So are we going to see a crash in Florida? We're going to see a lot of change. I'll just say absolutely we're going to see a lot of change, and we're not going to see an overall crash. We're going to see areas crash in different parts. I mean, I would say I wouldn't put money on California real estate right now. Florida, I would still be an open buyer if you're thinking of buying, because there's always opportunity in Florida. With 1,000 people a day, you've got two choices to make. You can buy or you can rent. And if you rent, I think you're at a lot more risk financially than if you buy, especially with the idea that rents went up about 30% in the last year. How scary is that? I mean, so buying is still a good option, but now you have more time. You have more time to breathe. And even if you feel that, look, I buy at the wrong time, people that bought last year, if they see their property values go down, they're still better off, because if they've locked into an interest rate, they're in their home. I wouldn't panic in that regard that was a bad decision. Same right now. If you're thinking, should I buy, should I sell? If you can afford to buy as opposed to rent, I think that's a better decision. But again, everyone's situation is different. We have a lot of opportunities coming up. I want to be a resource to help you. Again, my name is Troy Funk, F-U-N-K, Funk. And if I can be of any help to you, please contact me below. If I've been helpful to you, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope to see you on the next video.